14. Before we get into it, just want to let you know that we are following all of YouTube's guidelines. This video is for educational purposes only, and we do not condone the use or cultivation of cannabis in any state that is not deemed legal for you to do so. So without further ado, let's get into it. So it's day 14, and you can see I kind of defoliated this whole table already last night. I kind of just got a hair up my ass and decided to get in here and might as well get it done. That whole table back there needs to get defoliated. So you can walk over there and just kind of see where we're at. You know, it's a pretty thick canopy on this side. All this Skywalker, really grown up. We got all the oaks are down back there. You see, I still have that little dwarf plant there. I've really just been lollipopping it every other day, just to make sure that it catches up a little bit. As long as it gets above that first trellis right there, I should be able to defoliate enough to let it get adequate enough light. But you can see the canopy on this side, much cleaner, all cleaned up. You see all the bud sites coming through. Everybody looking super insanely healthy. Got the tiniest amount of tip burn there, which is fine. We're pushing these plants right now. They're in generative growth, so our drybacks are pretty intense. Our ECs are pretty high. Inside the blocks, it's probably ripping around like 7 or 8. Our runoff's coming out about 4.5 to 5.4, and the input is about 2.6. So, I mean, we're really pushing these plants right now. But for how healthy and green everything is, from what you guys see here, I don't see any reason to pull back on them. They haven't shown me any signs of stress. One thing we did add this run that, like I said, this is kind of our test facility here, is I've been foliar feeding with fulvic acid, and the fulvic acid has been doing great for uptake and really letting them crank out exactly what it is that they need to do that they need to eat in order to produce it the way they are producing, without any stress or anything like that. So for now, we're going to keep it as it is. Like I said, it's day 14. We're going to go ahead and finish defoliating that other table there. But before I do that, I guess we could talk a little bit about what changes are going on in our environment, what changes are going to be going on with our feed, our watering schedule, irrigation. So usually about day 14, I flush. I always flush, and we're not flushing with straight RO. What we're doing is kind of giving the EC inside of the rock wool a bit of a reset, and we're going to flush kind of heavy. We're going to get them up to fill capacity and probably give them about 30 to 40% runoff, and that's going to be a hand feed. And yeah, I understand it's going to take a little bit longer if you got a bigger facility, but for me, it's really worth it getting that day 14 flush just to kind of reset the EC. We got one more week left of the crop salts veg A and B, and then right after week 3 finishes up and we go into week 4 is when we bump over to bloom. And usually I would give them a small flush before I go switch on to the bloom, but since I give them this heavy flush right here around day 14, I don't feel that it's necessary, and I like them to have those little extra nitrogen, that little bit of extra nitrogen in there, and the extra calciums in order to be able to give them that extra bump going into flower, because now they're going to start bulking and their irrigations are going to go up. So since their irrigations are going up, we're going to be getting a little bit more runoff anyway, so that's going to really just push all those excess salts out of the rock pool there and really give us what we need to start putting on a lot of our mass. As far as environment goes, we go from 81 degrees, we drop down to 80 at this point. I'm thinking about keeping it at 81, keeping it a little warmer in here, because of the fact that these plants, look, we have a whole week of stretch left, but these plants are not stretching as much as I thought they would, which is a good thing. For me, it's a good thing. I like it. We still have another 7 days, like I said, of stretch, and these Skywalkers are the only thing that I'm kind of concerned about. But I'm pretty sure after I defoliate today, clean out a lot of these inners here, that's going to let in a lot of light into these lower branches and really slow down these tops. I got to give a couple super crops, so I'm going to probably super crop that and one back there, that one there, and when I let all that light in, it's going to really start sending the auxins to the rest of those other branches down low to start kind of coming up, and hopefully shift some hormones into kind of just evening out this canopy a little bit more than what it is right now. As far as right now goes, looks like we're probably going to get another 6 inches at the most of stretch. And then I say that now, watch when we come back on day 21 and they're going to be practically at the lights. I'm going to wind up having a problem. But anyways, I digress on that. Humidity steady rocking. It's funny because I ordered that humidifier that we were talking about to get rid of the smaller one, and by the time it wound up getting here, of course my plants are transpiring just enough now to be able to like keep the VPD exactly where I want it. So but nonetheless, we have it for next run. We have it for if we ever run into dry conditions again. I'm probably just going to put it on here. I do have a humidifier sensor over there, so it'll kind of keep a 5% dead band on everything and make sure that our VPD is exactly where it's at. If for some reason one of the days it gets extra dry in here, or God forbid we miss a watering or something, and we don't want it to get extra dry in here and really cook these plants. Hopefully that thing will kick on if it does get a little too dry in here, but those are just high hopes. Anyway, back to environment. So I think I'm just going to run to 81 degrees and we'll keep our RH right where it's at. Next week we're going to go down from 55%. We'll go down to probably about 50 and just keep it steady there, rocking until we get into ripening. But lights turned all the way up to 100%. I think we talked about that last time. And CO2 is bumping at 1250 now. Actually, I set it down to 1200 because with this fan here blowing the AC air in, I've been having problems of losing CO2. So I've been going through these tanks like every 2 days, which is no good. So what I ordered was a temperature sensor for this fan here that is going to only turn that fan on when the temperature gets below above a certain threshold, just to cool it back down in here, shut it off, and kind of keep it stable in here. But I do love the fresh air intake, like don't get me wrong, I would love that, but I would rather have my plants have an adequate amount of CO2 than just some fresh oxygen, and every now and then blowing in a nice fresh set of oxygen in here by turning that fan on. So with that being said, CO2 is at 1200. Our irrigation, so let's get into the irrigation. So right now we are reaching field capacity by about midnight. So lights are on at 7:30, and by about midnight, so about 3 hours into them waking up, we are reaching field capacity. Now today we are going to hand water them, so I'm going to eliminate their field capacity waterings, which is all the midnight, all the waterings up to midnight, and then I'll just have them water at 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning, and then they'll get 3 hours, about three and a half hours of a dry back overnight. And come the next day, they're going to wind up having a bigger watering during that first phase of reaching it back up to fill capacity. So instead of 150 mils, we're going to go up to 200 mils per watering, and that's really just to promote just a slight bit more runoff. Right now we're getting about like 10 to 15%, maybe even less than that. Honestly, I'm not here at 4 or 5 in the morning to be able to see exactly how much runoff we're getting. I'm just going based off of how dry they are in the mornings and how much dry back that they're getting. So when I do come in here, so like right now, I can feel these plants and they do feel pretty light. So in my head, that's telling me they probably only had like a 5 to 15% runoff last night, because maybe not even that, because of how dry back they are. But I also do have that big gap of their last watering until they go to sleep, just because I'm really trying to get them to focus on still building up roots and searching for water inside of those cubes. So I don't want to water too late, going into lights off. So what we're aiming to do this next week is give them a little bit more water, get us up to field capacity a little bit sooner, and then by the time they get their 2 waterings in the middle of the night in their refresh states, or the P2 phase, for those of you that know what I'm talking about. If not, you guys go watch the video on crop steering, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. If you're interested in that, let me know. I'll drop the link down below. But it's not by me, it's by somebody else, somebody a lot more advanced than I am. So as far as in the cultivation of like commercial cultivation, so we're trying to bring those commercial cultivation practices that promote great yield and promote great flavor profiles, terpenes, like finishing, ripening, you know, a lot of stuff they use on grapes and other agricultural crops, you know, are very relevant to using on cannabis, especially when you're growing in the same style of medium, which is rock wool for us. So anyway, don't get me off on a tangent. We're gonna go out on some nonsense. So yeah, we're gonna give them a little bit more runoff going into week 3, and then we're just gonna let them sit. We're gonna let them ride it out. Going into, once we finish week 3, we'll talk about it then, but then we go into really the bulking phase, and that's really more of a like vegetative feed that we're going to be giving them. We don't really want to be stressing them out whatsoever. We want to just make sure that they got everything that they need in that rock wool. They're getting the adequate amount of runoff. Their dry backs are not too long, not too short. You know, they're stubborn girls. You guys know better than anybody. So we just really got to pay attention and focus and make sure that we are giving them the correct amount of runoff, giving them the correct amount of water, and not oversaturating them before we get into the ripening phase later on in flower. And we don't want to waterlog our roots or make them think that that there's a flood and they don't need to promote any more roots. They got more water than they'll ever need. But want to make them know that they got whatever they need to use up to give us exactly what we need them to do for us. So I know that was a lot. Whatever, it's kind of a little bit of a word vomit, but yeah, I think that's about it. I think that's pretty much everything covered as far as all the changes that are going. You guys got any questions, comments down below? I'm gonna get these things defoliated and we'll make you guys a video right when I get done. But other than that, like and subscribe, and I'll be right back. Alright guys, pretty much done. Got that table all cleaned up for the most part. It's a little harder to reach on the back side of the table there, so I am gonna have to go crawl under there a little bit more and get a little bit of this foliage out back from that corner there. You see it's a little thick back there, but I'll save that for the morning. You know, I've been in here for a couple hours already just trying to get this all taken care of. Of course, that table over there is just always a little more work than normal. On this side, I could do half the table here and then half the table on that side, and makes my life a little bit easier. But over there, I got to kind of crawl up over, and I'm not the smallest person, so it's not that easy. What I'm going to wind up doing tomorrow is just pulling that table out away from the wall just a little bit. It does slide with the rain gutter at the edge there. It will slide on it, so I'll get back there and I'll clean up whatever I missed. I also have the underlighting facing that way a little bit more, so whatever I do miss, hopefully it makes up. Other than that, we hit them with the flush, and we give them another treatment of the fulvic acid. So you can see my water's a little murky. And if you run crop salts, you know that water doesn't come out like that. But once a week, I try to hit them with the fulvic. I'm hitting them with the fulvic this run, hoping that helps with nutrient uptake and just overall health of the plants, which from what it looks like, I mean, I'm a happy camper, so I can't complain. So, well, tune in next week. We'll get you guys a week 3 update, see what these girls look like. Remember, we're not going to touch these things all the way till about day 30, day 32-ish, and we'll clean them up one more time at that point, and then right towards ripening, we'll come and pick off some big fan leaves. But for now, let's just keep an eye on these things. I'll give you guys some short updates. I also do have harvest coming up at my other facility, so I'll probably drop a video on that, and we'll do a whole room reset over there, and we'll talk about a little bit what's going on over there. Still trying to get those things dialed in on that side, so I'm doing it at a smaller scale here before I make the investment on the bigger rooms, and hopefully it translates over to over there, which I don't see why it wouldn't. You know, this room bumps just as much as those rooms do over there. So if you guys want, I should have a video for you probably Friday or Saturday with the harvest, and then I'll drop week three vids for this room on Monday. But right now we are kind of a little bit out of cruise control because I got all 3 rooms in late flower at the other half, but we're going to be ramping it up, so I'll be dropping hopefully 1 or 2 more videos a week. Just those other rooms over there, they're hard to get to because the lights run super late at night, but I'm going to change the light cycles, have them come on a little bit earlier, and hopefully be able to get in there and make you guys a video, as long as it doesn't cost me too much on starting my lights up just a little bit too earlier than normal, which is usually I start them up over there about 9 o'clock, so I'm going to try to get them to start at 7, see if I can get in there at 7 when the lights turn on, and that's only 2 hours out of prime time, so our kilowatt per hour price should still be decent, but we'll see what goes on. But as always, guys, thanks for watching. Happy farming. Like and subscribe, and leave your comments and questions down below. We'll talk about them next time. Peace.